Who do you think you are? You are nothing.
After 10 years abroad, Olumide, now a billionaire, decided to return to Nigeria. But he didn't come back in a private jet or a fancy car. Instead, he disguised himself as a homeless man, his clothes tattered, his face smudged with dirt. Why? He wanted to see if the woman he had left behind, his wife Kemi, had remained faithful. He had spent a decade building an empire, always believing their love was unshakable. Now, it was time for the ultimate test. He stood before the beautiful house he had bought for her, his heart pounding with a mix of hope and fear. He knocked on the gate, his voice raspy as he begged for a sip of water. When Kemi finally came out, her face twisted in disgust. "Look at you," she sneered, her words like daggers. "Useless beggar. Get away from my house." He tried to tell her who he was, to remind her of the promises they made, but she wouldn't listen. To add insult to injury, she grabbed a bucket of dirty water and threw it all over him, laughing cruelly. Just then, a sleek, expensive car pulled up. A man named Kunle stepped out and wrapped his arm around Kemi's waist. "Is this trash bothering you, my love?" he asked. Kemi smiled, placing a hand on her stomach. "Don't worry about him," she said, looking right at the disguised Olumide. "He's nothing. I'm carrying a new life now, a life with a real man." The world around Olumide shattered. The woman he had worked so hard for, the love he had cherished for 10 years, had not only forgotten him, but was now mocking his memory with another man. Heartbroken and humiliated, Olumide walked away. But a few hours later, the quiet street was filled with the roar of engines. A fleet of black SUVs pulled up in front of Kemi's house. The doors opened, and out stepped several men in sharp suits. They opened the back door of the lead vehicle, and the same beggar from earlier emerged, now dressed in an immaculate designer suit. His guards bowed respectfully. "Welcome back, Sir Olumide." Kemi and Kunle stood frozen on their doorstep, their faces pale with shock. Kemi's mouth hung open as she stared at the man she had just drenched in dirty water. It was him. It was Olumide. But it was an Olumide she no longer recognized, powerful, cold, and a billionaire. He walked towards her, his eyes devoid of the love they once held. "I just wanted to see if you were still the woman I fell in love with," he said, his voice calm but chilling. "Clearly, you are not." He paused, looking at the house. "Keep it. Let it be a reminder of what you chose over loyalty." Without another word, he turned his back on her and walked away, leaving Kemi trembling amidst the ruins of her choices. Olumide returned to his real life, a magnificent mansion in Lekki Phase 1, but the betrayal had left a deep wound in his heart. The only person who could understand his pain was Aisha, his longtime confidant and business associate. She had been with him through his struggles in the UK, always believing in him. She listened patiently as he spoke of his heartbreak, offering quiet strength and unwavering support. In her gentle presence, Olumide began to heal, and slowly, a new, more genuine love began to blossom between them. Aisha wasn't just a friend, she was the anchor he needed. Weeks later, news of Olumide and Aisha's engagement spread like wildfire. When Kemi found out, she was consumed by a venomous jealousy. How dare he move on? How dare he be happy? She convinced herself that his fortune, his happiness, should have been hers. In a desperate and foolish act, she decided to crash their engagement party. She stormed into the grand event, causing a scene and demanding Olumide take her back. But Olumide and Aisha simply ignored her, continuing to greet their guests with poise. The security guards escorted a screaming Kemi out, and she became the city's biggest joke, a cautionary tale of greed and regret. Humiliated and enraged, Kemi sank even lower. She teamed up with Kunle, and together they hatched a wicked plan. Kemi went to the press, falsely claiming she was pregnant with Olumide's child and that he had abandoned her. Kunle, eager for a piece of the billionaire's fortune, forged documents and created fake business scandals to ruin Olumide's reputation. For a moment, their lies worked. The media went into a frenzy, and doubt was cast on Olumide's character. He was painted as a villain, a heartless tycoon who trampled on the weak. The empire he had built seemed on the verge of crumbling under the weight of their deceit. But Olumide was not a man to be underestimated. He had built his empire on intelligence and foresight. While Kemi and Kunle celebrated their temporary victory, Olumide was preparing his counterattack. He called a massive, televised press conference. In front of the entire nation, he calmly dismantled their web of lies. He played audio recordings of Kemi and Kunle plotting against him. He presented financial records and irrefutable proof that exposed their fraud. The truth was laid bare for all to see. Cornered and exposed, Kunle publicly denied everything and abandoned Kemi, leaving her to face the consequences alone. In an instant, Kemi went from being a perceived victim to the face of public disgrace. Her downfall was swift and brutal. Homeless, penniless, and truly pregnant with Kunle's child, Kemi had nowhere to go. Her life became a nightmare. The shame was too much to bear, and she ended up on the streets, the very place she had once despised. Months later, alone and scared under a cold, dark bridge, she gave birth. But in the harsh conditions, the baby didn't survive. Kemi was left completely broken, a ghost of her former self, wandering the streets and begging for scraps, her mind lost in a haze of grief and regret. One rainy afternoon, Olumide and Aisha were driving through the city when he saw a frail figure huddled by the roadside, begging. His heart stopped. It was Kemi. She was unrecognizable, thin, dirty, her eyes empty. He stopped the car. With Aisha by his side, he walked over to her. Kemi looked up, and for a moment, a flicker of recognition crossed her face before she broke down in tears, ashamed and broken. Olumide looked at the woman who had hurt him so deeply, but all he felt was pity. He and Aisha helped her up. "It's over now, Kemi," he said softly. "I forgive you." He then handed her a check for 5 million Nigerian nairas. "Go and start a new life. Learn from this." Olumide and Aisha were married in a beautiful ceremony, and they dedicated their lives not just to their business, but to helping others through charity. They found true happiness in giving back. And Kemi? She used the money to open a small grocery shop. Humbled by her journey, she became a mentor to young women in her community, sharing her story and teaching them a powerful lesson: that greed can destroy love, but humility and forgiveness can save a life. As Olumide looked back on his incredible journey, he often shared a simple piece of wisdom that defined his story. He would say, "Wealth can test the heart, but it is character that reveals the soul." His life was a testament to that truth. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that touches the heart. See you next time.